Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this little replay of a memory balance maintenance question mailbag. Going to go very briefly into a little bit of mailbag before I go and give a presentation here in the city in Brisbane, Australia. Really excited for that. And we're going to talk about, we're not going to talk about much. We're going to get people doing memory techniques, because one of the things is I'm going to motivate their doing with some prizes. And this is the memory connection, so I have a couple of copies for that. And the main point is that memory techniques are something that help you when you do them. So we're going to do some memory techniques live with a group live here in the city, and it's going to be awesome. So if you're joining us right now, hit the thumbs up. Let me know where you are in the world. I got about 15 minutes before I have to put on my shoes and head downstairs and get my ride to this event. And the main question that I thought was really interesting this morning was about memory palace maintenance. And it's one of those moments where I wonder where I'm going wrong, because the whole point is if you create the memory palace the right way the first time, you don't have to maintain it. It will maintain itself. It will be perfect from the get-go. And how do you do that? Well, the training is at magneticmemorymethod.com/YT if you don't have it already. And then what you do is you follow the instructions, and then you use the memory palaces as quickly as you can, because this is learned by doing, right? And then you have information that you actually want to memorize that's going to improve your life, not shopping lists unless they're going to improve your life. Maybe shopping lists in a foreign language might make sense, but just the usual recommendation for shopping lists, or the planets, or whatever all this normal memory training stuff does to essentially dumb it down, instead of you just diving in with information that you actually want to memorize that'll actually improve your life. That's what you do. It's done through doing. Why? Because doing is the origin of all of the creativity that you need to start tapping into in your mind. Doing is the origin of the confidence to actually do it, because some people lack confidence, but if you just dive in and start doing it, it will actually change your brain chemistry. And doing is the origin of the consistency that you will need in order to actually continue to use this over time. And it is the origin of, it's the origin of control over your memory, right? And so just dive in. That's the number one thing. Maintaining the memory palace happens on its own when you get it right the first time. And the number one way you get it right the first time is follow the simple recommendations in the pre-course. And then when you have done that, start using the memory palaces for information that will change your life, information that matters. So what might that be? Well, one of the things that happened to me yesterday is I was just walking to the dentist. See, nice and white. And I saw this guy, and I went up to him, and he before I could do it, he said, "Mark," and I said, "Hocknell." Right? And he was like, wow. And it was amazing. But the reason why that you get that is because you do it. You actually do these things. And so what's cool about that, and it's one of the things that I always teach, is that when you have your memory working like this, you really, really make a mark on people. We remembered each other anyway because of the initial meeting, which was at a business presentation here. But then I was just like, yeah, I'll email you, and then I email him, and then he emails right back, and so forth. And because he's a very successful entrepreneur, very interesting guy, I might learn something cool, right? And when you're able to remember people's names that you haven't seen for a year and a quarter, I think it would probably be in this case. Well, you just feel so good. So doing gets you this. Doing gets you this, and it feels good, and it feels good in ways that you just gotta feel. Anyway, let me check in and see who's here. Manasseh's here. How are you? What's up? Thank you for being here. Masha's here. Good to see you, Masha. D Punk. Well, you haven't missed much yet, Adi, except for doing. Doing is the origin of everything. Nicholas is here from Switzerland. Guten Morgen. Good to see you always. Manasseh says, nothing much. We just started talking about maintaining memory palaces. Yeah, I'm not live for very long. You're right, Manasseh. I've got to go and do an event, but I wanted to have some coffee with you. I wanted to wake up. I'm actually pretty awake, but also thank you everyone who emailed about my wife. She's fine. I'm going to be able to pick her up today after this presentation. So that's pretty cool. But the whole thing about maintaining memory palaces is that you maintain them through actually setting them up correctly in the first place, and you do that by drawing them, and then you use them right away, as quickly as possible. break them in, right? And then you use them after that for recall rehearsal. And once that you have those things in, you don't have to maintain it because you should remember it. And also, I guess the thing here is that it's in the instructions, but you use recall rehearsal as part of the construction, the creation of the memory palace. If you do that, you're going to be just fine. It's going to be fine. And you'll never really need to do any modifications later. Now, there's another sort of element here that we should consider, which is making more memory palaces. A lot of people, they kind of want to just have one, and that's the most dangerous number in the world. One is the most dangerous number in the world. If you're going to get into memory techniques, you want multiple memory palaces that you can use and continually create new memory palaces, continually have new memory palaces that you add to expand your spatial memory. And you want to constantly expand your spatial memory because space contains all things. And your memory is in your brain, which is a spatial conglomeration of chemicals that operate spatially together. The chemicals move through space together, and they connect and weave and they bind. Now, it won't bog you down with a bunch of memory science and so forth, but the question of memory palace maintenance and so forth has everything to do with what's happening chemically in your brain, which is why I say, unto thee, make memory palaces right the first time. You could use the worksheets again and again and again and again at magneticmemorymethod.com/YT if you don't have them already, and use them to constantly change the chemistry of your brain. Michael, he sent me an email this morning showing me a TED Talk. I'll share it with you later on a future video, where the person giving the presentation, she says very, very clearly, it's like the big point, I got it up here right on the screen, and I only watched a couple of seconds yet. I don't remember her name because it doesn't even, I just skipped through a little bit and I haven't seen her name yet, and it's not on the title here. Oh, Dr. Laura Boyd, there it is. So how am I going to remember that? Well, I remember my dad had a girlfriend named, well, I won't give her name, but her last name was Boyd, and it also started with an L, her first name. So this is instantly what I'm starting to think, right? Now I'm going to start memorizing it and so forth. But anyway, as I was skipping through this little video, because I don't have time to watch it now, she said there are only 3 things that you can change in your brain. And the first one that she said was the chemistry. You can change the chemicals. And I'm sure the other 2 are going to be exciting and amazing. So Laura Boyd it was. Now, see, the thing is, I'm thinking about my dad's girlfriend, so I wanted to put her first name there. But now I got to see my dad's girlfriend fighting with Laura, who took some of my photographs on the website. So that'll help me. And I want to place it on a memory palace. Well, in this case, my laptop is right here. Boom, that's going to be the memory palace location, and I don't have to maintain this memory palace because I made it right the first time, and I use it. And actually, this is this room is a memory palace that I reuse again and again and again. So you maintain memory palaces through just use. People have the fantasy that memory palaces are all about holding information eternally. That's not what they're about. They're about using the memory palace structure to get the memory into long-term memory, so you don't need the memory palace. Because when I saw Mark Hocknell yesterday, I just didn't go to a memory palace or anything like that. I just went in my mind and it was there. That's the magnetic memory method, right? You don't need to go and revisit a memory palace. If you use the memory palace correctly, it does it for you. It just, boom, it pops. It's just like a magnet flying towards us. So that's what it's all about. Let's check in with the chats here. So Manassi says, can we use memory palace for remembering science concepts? And by the way, you look happy today. Nice to see that. Well, I am happy. I mean, I did my Satanama stuff and my Sanskrit meditation, did muscle relaxation. I made a video that I didn't put up because it was too shaky, but my wife and I, we were walking along and she was giving me some memory stuff, and I was explaining how I relax my mouth and all these stretches. It looks kind of weird, so I'm not going to do it right now. But I did that this morning. I'm really relaxed and looking forward to this session this morning, which I've completely memorized everything that's going to happen, except for the stuff that I don't know what's going to happen, because life is like that, right? But we'll see. It's going to be great. I love speaking with entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are my favorite people. Why? Because they're doers. They do. And they do, and they know that you have to do, because nothing happens until you do something, right? And so memory students are great as well, or university students and so forth. They know this. They've already done so many things. They're in the classroom because they did the registration. They have the problem remembering the book because they actually bought the book. So doing. That's how we get there. It's how we make it happen. And in terms of memorizing concepts, which is Menasse's question here, well, yes, of course. If it's in words, it can be memorized. If it's in sounds, it can be memorized. There's no concept that is not somehow processable through the conceptualization of words that I can think of. And it's not as if I've gone through life without memorizing some heavy duty concepts, like the pharmacon concept, for example. Oh, here's a good memory test for me, first thing in the morning. Pal Yorgrau. I don't know how you pronounce his name, but I read a book by him recently. It's like Palais Yorgrau, maybe. Check me if I'm right here. I hope I got his name right. Anyway, he wrote a book called A World Without Time, and he's talking about Gödel's incompleteness theorem and all that sort of stuff. Heavy duty concepts and whatnot. And you can just memorize that stuff. You can memorize weird names and so forth, as long as you can explain the rationale for why Gödel thought that there was that time didn't exist, for example, in words. Then you can translate that into the full range of magnetic modes, stick them in a memory palace, and away you go. And in some cases, concepts are a lot easier than names, like the name Pal Yorgrau, right? I had to think, oh my God, Pal. Pal is an abstract concept. But then the mind goes, okay, so wasn't NTSC and PAL, were those video encoding techniques back in the day? And so then I started to see a video cassette, and you just go from there, right? And then I made a point of saying, well, I don't actually know how this is pronounced, so it might be palais. So I saw a pallet crushing a thing. Pallet is not palais, but it doesn't matter. The mind remembers these things. You don't have to have one-to-one correspondences. In fact, you really want to avoid one-to-one correspondences in certain circumstances. Jane is here. Hello, Jane. Great to have you here. You say you love your videos and the information on memory palaces. Many thanks. Absolutely, you're welcome. Thank you for being here. I only got a couple more minutes, everybody, so if you got some quick questions, hit the thumbs up, type them in, let me know where you are in the world, what you're doing, what you're thinking, and yeah, happy times. Well, I mean, it's going to be great to have April home from the hospital. That was really intense. I'll tell you more about that later. Laura's here. Laura is going to help remember Laura Boyd. Look up the Laura Boyd TED Talk. Yeah, look. Oh, I don't even know if it's pronounced Laura. It's Lara. Sorry, guys. I looked at it quickly. So now I got to rechange it again. That's another good question, right? That people ask. I was like, what if you make a mistake? And that often happens. You'll see things really quickly, and you'll encode it wrong. So I looked at it and I thought Laura, and then I'm thinking about my dad's girlfriend, and then I was thinking about Laura the photographer, and now I look again and it's like, wait a second, no, it's not Laura, it's Lara, Lara. So now I got to think about it again. So I'm thinking about in the lair of, we can't even really think of the title of the movie, but in the lair of the white snake or the white dragon or something like that. I think it was a Ken Russell film. And so, I'm just starting to fix it, right? And actually I was talking to a really cool guy yesterday, and he's maybe going to show up here on the live, but if not, we were talking about this whole thing about correction and so forth, and why people don't take action. And it's because they're worried that they're going to make a mistake that will then need to be fixed. Don't worry about that stuff. Do. Because now the actual mistake is teaching me a lot. And I have a story now, right? So if I go in the future, I'm like, yeah, it's Laura Boyd. And then I'll think, oh no, white snake, lair of the white snake, it's Lara Boyd, right? And the actual process of making mistakes actually helps you understand your memory. It understands this doesn't even have anything to do with memory. It's that I didn't even look properly in the first place, right? So it then teaches you about your perception and how you are engaging in the world and what you can do next time better, or just be calm, relaxed, and whatever. Make mistakes, sometimes it happens. Let's see who else is here. But anyway, Laura, thank you for being here, and Monjit is here. Adolfo's here from Miami. Adolfo, always so good to see you. I really appreciate you saying hello and being here. Manassi says, thank you so much. Good luck for the event. Yeah, thank you, Manassi. It's going to be awesome. I love presenting live, and don't do it enough, but, it's just it's just one of those things that I'm live now here on video. Is it live or Memorex? Anybody know that movie? Adolfo says, I'm also finding that I do not have to go through my memory palace to retract information. It just pops in. Thank you for saying that, Adolfo. And of course, you're one of the great people who does what the training is talking about and explores it and expands it beyond the training, and really is a doer, a person who applies these techniques. And that's where you get that magnetic effect. You get it from doing, actually using the techniques. And I mean, again and again and again, just speaking with Michael yesterday. I'm gonna do a video with Michael soon. So this person that I'm referring to, who talked about the danger of people worrying about making mistakes and then not taking action as a result, he's got some very useful thoughts about that. So we're going to do that very soon. But in any case, you've got to do, and you've got to actually use the mistakes. The mistakes will be so useful for you going forward. Manassi says, what happens to your wife? I hope she's okay. It was appendicitis, but it really scared me because she went into so much pain, and she's never been to the hospital as a patient in her life before, and went into a bit of a panic anyway, and got this effect where hypnocampia, I guess it's called, where her hands were all curled up, and I thought she didn't want to go to the doctor all day long, and it got to the fever and so forth. So I thought maybe she had brain damage from this fever or whatever. But anyway, I guess it's just a panic effect. Yeah, it really is just appendix. I had my appendix out, no problem, and can't wait to get her back. Jane says, in the lair of the white worm. I'm not going to look it up now because I only got a few minutes here, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, that's a Ken Russell film, In the Lair of the White Worm, and it's probably based, if memory serves, which it sometimes does, often, often enough. I think that's a Lovecraft story that it's based on. Maybe not, though. It might not even be a Ken Russell film. In any case, it's been a long time since I was a university professor, and I didn't use memory techniques when I was first watching that movie, In the Lair of the White Worm. Alden's here from Croatia. Hello. And let's see here. Rasmus is here. Hello, Rasmus. Great to see you again. Antoine is from Chicago. Excellent. Great to meet you. I've met a person recently who's moving to Chicago. Bitwit is here. Hi, happy to be here. Happy to have you here, Bitwit. Great to meet you. Hope to see you on the next one. We're only a few minutes out here. If you've got questions, pop them in. Rasmus says, do you think there's a certain number of repetitions to be done before recall and output become fast and automatic? The thing is that you always need to encode and you always need to decode. Those are the fancy scientific words for creating magnetic imagery and recall rehearsal through memory palace revisitation and so forth. And yes, the number of repetitions can potentially go down, but don't be too sure, don't be too sure. Don't be too sure. That's the number one rule, right? There's no moment where you're going to get it right 100% of the time with all information. What you need to think is to be like the samurai, prepared to execute one last move, even with his head cut off. And that means that you do your due diligence. You do your recall rehearsal, even if you don't need to. Can't tell you the amount of times I got on my high horse and I was like, oh yeah, I got that one. That's the best magnetic image I ever came up with. No recall rehearsal, you'll struggle. You might not get it back. You might look like a fool, right? And so you've got to do your due diligence with recall rehearsal, no matter how good you get. And so, it's just the way that it is. And no memory expert, no memory champion, nobody is free from that general principle that the number of repetitions, there's no magic number, but you need to do it. You need to do it if you want it to stick. And there's so many ways to do it. There's so many ways to do it. But there's also just the best way. And the best way is one that you're going to discover along the journey. I highly recommend that you do the magnetic memory method way. At least submit yourself to it for a good, I don't want to say a scary number that people will chase people away, but 6 months or something like that. Just try it for that long. and or 3 months, I don't know, 2 months, whatever, and you'll just see and split test it, compare it against something else, and you'll see. I'm confident you will see. Oh my goodness, this I have cracked the code on my memory. I've just cracked it. But you got to do it with truth and integrity, and not fantasy numbers. Not like, oh, well, if I practice it for long enough, I will just be able to look at information once and memorize it forever. You'll be able to encode it very, very good by looking at it once and have much better information, magnetic imagery and chances and so forth. But you're still going to need to show up to the diligence of the recall rehearsal. And that comes back to memory palace maintenance. You do not have to maintain your memory palaces if you're using them right, if you're creating them right, and so forth. So let's see, Michael Moore is here. Wow, what a great name. That's a memorable name for association, if you know what I mean. Sorry to hear about your niece, though. Oh, I wish things were different for you and your family. That's very tragic. But yeah, it's good that she went. Sorry about that, Michael. Manassi says, yes, I understand appendicitis can be painful. I'm studying medicine. So happy you got her back, get her back today. Everything at the hospital can be stressful. Yeah, but we just try to have fun. I remember the nurses' names and so forth. Ashley was her main nurse, and I saw Ash from see, sometimes this is the weird thing. You can't even remember the names of the movies. Evil Dead, I think it's called. Ash is the character's name, and she was just chainsawing. You know how in Army of Darkness, he has the chainsaw on his hand, and he's chainsawing Lee Jeans over her shoulder. So it was very easy, Ashley. Okay, guys, I got a few more minutes here to go through these chats. I also got a second cup of coffee here. Okay, so David says, please can you tell us how we memorize texts and best memory books for me as a student in high school? David, absolutely. Go to Google, type in magnetic memory method, how to memorize a textbook. Maybe if you just type how to memorize a textbook, that'll come up as well. But then what you do, listen to the podcast, study the infographic, and then take the free course so you know how to create memory palaces properly. And then do those things. Do it. Just take my word on it. This is not a cult. This is not drugs or anything like that. It's nothing dangerous going to happen to you. See a doctor if you're concerned about anything that might happen with your memory palaces. Ask your parents first if you're that young of a student, and just do this. It'll save you so much strife. And you're going to be in China next month. In Shanghai, can we meet? I'm not going to be in China next month or in Shanghai, but if I ever do another training in China, it might be in Shanghai. So if you're there, let me know. I mean, the best way to follow these things that I do is be on my email list. Being subscribed to the YouTube channel is not my email list. And by the way, people keep asking me, when am I going to make the memory connection available again? Be on my email list. Go to magneticmemorymethod.com. The site has gotten a facelift. It looks different now. If you haven't seen it for a while, go check it out. Tell me what you think. I kind of just as much as I could, let go of creative control and just let the experts do what they thought would be best. And I'd love to know what you think. A lot of people have said it's moving faster and it looks cleaner and so forth. And I'm really grateful to Serge, who helped with it. And more great things are coming, but definitely be on the email list. And we got to do some announcement here pretty soon. I've been a bit busy with the hospital thing. About all the new rules and laws and stuff where governments don't trust you all to be adults enough to make your own decisions and remember where you subscribed and so forth, and so forth. So we're gonna make an announcement about that. But David, go and check that material out. Look, self-study is what memory techniques are all about, plus doing. So you got to put some time into just going through videos, following the recommendations, and then when you have questions, try to answer them on your own first, and then come to me with drawings of your memory palaces, come to me with descriptions of your magnetic imagery. I can only help you if you're doing. Otherwise, I just say, here's the link, and then come back to me with some memory palaces and so forth. I'm not, the answer is in doing, right? The answer is in doing and meeting me halfway. because the quality of your questions has everything to do with the actions that you're taking, and and so forth. So contacting me on Facebook is not really the way. If you're in the Magnetic Memory Method Mastermind group, then that's possible. But even then, we're going to possibly be shifting off to a private forum, because Facebook is a weird place and I don't really want to associate with it at the moment much more, even though we're still using it a little bit. And there's some great stuff in there, really great interaction, some great memory palaces people are posting and so forth, but it's not getting me the results that I want out of group interactivity. So I'm rethinking it all. And the people who have been asking how do they get the memory connection, stay tuned, because there's going to be a new way to get the memory connection that's coming out real soon. Because I'm going to crack the code on the doing thing, getting more people doing instead of not doing, and thinking and hoping and wishing and praying and pondering and stuff like that. You've got to take the course, fill out the worksheets, draw the memory palaces, have information that you want to memorize that's actually going to improve your life or help you get a grade and so forth. And yes, community is part of that. We're going to come up with a better form of community that is more meaningful than sitting around on memory destroying Facebook, because digital amnesia is real. It's a problem, and we're going to take care of it. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to crack the code as best as I can. It's like a lifetime project, and we're going to do it without implants. We're going to do it without BS supplements. No supplement on the world has ever done better than what they call plus 0.02% verbal memory, whatever the heck that means. We're going for 100% verbal memory. What was it? Lara Boyd. I think that's right. That's what we're going for. And meeting a guy like Mark Hocknell on this the other day. Hocknell, he fed me his first name first. That happens. But, that's what we're going for. 100%, not 0.02% improvement of verbal memory, whatever the heck that is, from taking pills. Nonsense. Michael asks, have you ever had any experience with speed reading with decent recall? I don't speed read, but you can check out magneticmemorymethod.com/SL for the speed reading training that I recommend. That's Super Learner with Jonathan Levy, and I think you'll do real well if you follow that recommendation. I've arranged a special free trial for you, magneticmemorymethod.com/SL. Can you tell me, David asks, if I did a test, can I remember a page of text in 30 minutes? If you want to, I don't know. I don't know you. I don't know what your mind works like and so forth. But I know that if you really, really go for it, you probably can. Anyway, I got to get downstairs. It's really great meeting with y'all. Thank you for being here. I'm going to have a great presentation today. And I really, really enjoy and appreciate each and every one of you. If you haven't seen the new site uplift, let me know what you think. It's at magneticmemorymethod.com. If you haven't taken the free course, just register for it there, or go to /YT. And until we have a chance to speak again, thanks for all your great questions. I'm sorry I didn't get through them all, but next time. And I'll look at the chat after when I get back and all is settled and well. And sorry I missed a podcast because of all these sorts of things, but we'll have an extra episode somehow this month, I hope, and more videos coming out soon. Thank you again, everybody. Come visit me at magneticmemorymethod.com, and until we have a chance to speak again, keep yourself magnetic. Bye-bye.